So this is going to be part 2 of the commentary that I'm doing on Kathleen MMS and her ridiculous criticism of the video game industry, where she's lecturing writers for not doing race well enough in her mind or including an overabundance of white men. But instead of giving you too much commentary up front, I'm going to just start playing this because I'm going to have to explain a few things later in the video when we get to it.
Just because you're playing as a black character and you happen to be a white gamer does not mean that you can't empathize with them. And that is the really stupid thing about the idea that we have to create more and more white male protagonists.
Take that last line, insert minorities, and there's the fucking culmination of her logic. There's the argument. You can empathize with the character regardless of the characteristics, therefore there's no need to have a forced mandate to fucking create specific characters. Your own fucking argument defeats itself.
So then there are a couple developers out there, a couple writers out there that say, hey, we need more black characters in games. We need more Hispanic characters in games. So they'll, kind of sprinkle in a little non-playable character here and there. This is what I'd like to call sprinkling, is they just have a random character, no character development, but it's almost, you get this sense that it's just placed there to kind of check off a quota, like, hey, our game has a black character, don't you want to give us a pat on the back because we included a black character?
Oh my fucking god. And who is asking for that character to be there? Who is demanding that there be more representation in games? I'll give you a hint. It ain't fucking me. It isn't millions of gamers. It's people like you that are obsessed with identity politics. If they weren't in the fucking game, you people would lose your fucking minds. You'd say, this game has been sanitized of whoever the fuck. Fucking Indians, fucking Pakistanis. There aren't enough fucking Croatians in this game. There aren't enough Polish people in this game. There aren't enough fucking whatever. You are the ones obsessed with identity politics, and they try to cater to you. But, surprise, nothing is ever good enough for you. Nothing is ever good enough for you progressive fucking retards. That's the issue here. I would rather they don't pander to you people and they actually create characters they'd like to create, as opposed to creating characters for the sake of trying to placate you fucking idiots.
No, it would have been better if you hadn't included that character.
Adios, amigos.
Sometimes TV shows and video games include these characters just to kind of check off a quota. Anyone who is involved in this creative process of creating a game should know better than that. As a creative person, if you are portraying a character, if you are writing a character and you do not develop them, you don't think in your mind of all of the complexities that make this character.
So I'm gonna stop her here mid-spiel because I'm ready to fucking scream, and I can't. They're doing this to please you. They're not gonna make this person a main character because they are not a main character. They only need to give so much exposition to a non-essential character. Background noise in the fucking game. That is why they're not doing it. There are no NPCs that need a certain level of exposition. They need as much exposition as the writers want to give them. That's the point. You're bitching about the fact that fucking non-essential characters that are in the background walking through the streets of Grand Theft Auto 5, you don't know that you don't need to know. They're just there to occupy a space. They're just walking around the block again and again and again because that's what they've been designed to do. You're bitching that they need exposition to them as a character. 1, that isn't your decision. 2, it's unnecessary. 3, it requires that much more time investment and work. And 4, they're giving the allotted amount to these so-called minority characters because you are asking fucking for them. Never forget that fucking fact. The reason these characters are in these games that you seem to think there's not enough exposition, there's not enough fleshing them out as a character, it's because people like you will never shut the fuck up. And they can never pacify you. Nothing is ever fucking good enough. And so my position is, they shouldn't bother. They'll never fucking satisfy you. So they should do what they want as opposed to what you want them to do. Because, again, you're some fucking nobody YouTuber. What the fuck do you know about writing for games?
Of all of the struggles they've gone through, and of all of the desires they have, then you are doing a poor ass job. This is the very point that I was trying to make in my video about female characters. You have to have characters that have strengths and weaknesses, and you have to know, as a creative person, how to balance those weaknesses. Now, I talk about storytelling in all of my videos because I feel like that's one of the most important things for a game to accomplish, but when it comes down to it, storytelling is a multifaceted process. It involves both acting, writing, and it involves development, it involves graphic design, and...
You don't know fucking anything about writing. You literally know fucking nothing. You have negative knowledge on writing. I guarantee, as a person that has worked with editors before, you know fucking nothing about writing. It's very safe to say at this fucking point, but whatever, let's just continue.
The artistic design behind it, all of these things have to come into harmony to create a character that is, flawed, but yet also has enough strengths to keep us intrigued as an audience. If they fail to do that, if they fail to give a character enough layers to intrigue us, then they failed. The people that created this game failed.
Okay, getting bored. Let's skip ahead.
You should know how your character would react to any situation, and if you can't do that, then you really just need to just not create. Because the offense that it causes, the perpetuation of stereotypes that this causes is more problematic, and you do not want to perpetuate stereotypes as a creative person.
You stupid fucking ignorant twat. Are you fucking serious right now? When you fucking play the most mainstream games conceivable, and you think that you're gonna tell any fucking person that writes for a fucking company, writes for a fucking developer, writes their own fucking game that they're producing because they're an indie dev, you think that you're gonna fucking lecture them about what they're doing? Here is an entire fucking nation where they couldn't possibly be stereotypical, for instance. It's their fucking culture. Ugh, there's Asians being treated poorly. In Japan, they're writing games of their own culture, if not just purely fictional, but based on their own fucking whatever they're basing it on. It's an offshoot of mythology or whatever. You're gonna tell a Japanese person what about their culture is stereotypical or offensive. You're gonna do that. I don't fucking think so.
Another problem that we will see in video games, in films, and any other form of media is this fetishization.
Yes! 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 I just hopped out of my fucking chair. Yes! Yes! Marxist! Got you, motherfucker! I got you! Let's stop. Okay, let's bring it down. Let's bring it down here. Let's bring it in really close, okay? With a free market, you can't apply this notion. The minute you invoke this, you immediately lose this fucking conversation. I don't want to hear what you have to say about the market as it exists when you're invoking Marxist fucking concepts. Because that it exposes you as someone that, one, has an agenda, and two, doesn't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm gonna stand back up. So now that I've made my snarky comments, we're actually going to get into an explanation of what's going on here, what she's speaking to, and what's actually underlying her criticism of the games industry in this sense. This is going to be a three-part explanation of what's going on here. So the first term that we start with is fetishism. A fetish is an object believed to have supernatural powers, or in particular, a man-made object that has power over others. an object that is believed to have some sort of value or power but otherwise doesn't, because in the sense it's artificial, it's a fetish. Commodity fetishism is the perception of the social relationships involved in production, not as relationships among people, but as economic relationships among the money and commodities exchanged in market trade. So this notion of fetishism is the understanding of precious metals not actually having intrinsic value or questioning that or what have you. The notion of pieces of material actually having some notion of value and what that is and how you distinguish it and yada fucking yada. So with those two very brief explanations out of the way, what we're speaking to here in terms of what she's actually speaking to is this notion of extracting something from culture, whether it is something that has existed in history or an idea or an ideal, just something that exists within culture. You're taking it and you are creating some kind of bastardized, inaccurate, mischaracterized version of this existing thing. A good example of this, in my mind at least, would be a geisha. So you have this notion of what a geisha is. You have geishas that existed in history. You have this basic understanding of what a geisha looks like. Now, I take this notion, I take this ideal, I take this thing that existed in history and culture in Japan, I take it and I create a bastardized, mischaracterized, sexualized, objectified version of it. Now, I'm going to take this from Japan, totally ignorant to really what a geisha would be, who gives a shit, I don't give a fuck. I'm going to take my artwork, I'm going to stick it in a video game, I'm putting it on a shelf and I'm going to sell it. The issue here is, in her mind, because this is not as it should be in terms of Japanese lore, there's something wrong here. I'm doing something deceitful. I'm doing something wrong by selling you this different form of a geisha. Now, with that out of the way, that whole conspiratorial notion of Marxism that does exist in terms of this notion of what's wrong here, in terms of value, we're moving to the next point, which is, this is my piece of artwork. This is my art. I have every right to fucking sell it. I can do whatever the fuck I want with it. It's my work. What is the fucking problem that I am not Japanese and I have taken this piece of Japanese lore, of their history, of something that does exist or did exist at a point in time, and I've done whatever the fuck I want with it? It's my fucking product. It's me putting my product in the fucking free market. If people don't want to buy it, they won't buy it. I've done nothing wrong here. Whatever value it has is what I've assigned to it, or it's what people are willing to pay for it. If they see my geisha game and they go, this isn't worth $60, I may have to lower my price. I might have to assign it a new value because it seems to me that the market is not responding well to it. If the market does respond, well, I've assigned it a value. It now has value because people are buying it. Just because it's not accurate and just because it's not done by a Japanese person does not mean it doesn't have fucking value. It has as much value as I believe it does, or at least the market in terms of purchasing it. So I don't want to hear any fucking Marxist bullshit about whether it has value or not. It's in a market. It exists because I took the time to draw it, or create it, or otherwise contract someone to create it for me, an artist. I did it. I'm the one that initiated this. It's my right to do whatever the fuck I want with whoever's fucking culture. And here's the big thing here, guys. She's not just saying this about me. She's saying this at the industry. She's saying to the gaming industry, you all are doing something wrong when you're doing any of this, borrowing from any other person's culture. You're doing something wrong. My position is, since the beginning of this, is one, you're fucking ignorant to this anyways. Completely. Of whoever's culture is what. So who are you to determine what has value, what's accurate, what isn't? That's one whole issue here. But the other is, it's my right to do whatever the fuck I please. It's the gaming industry's right to do whatever the fuck they please. You don't like some fucking problematic piece of content in a video game? You don't think it has value? Don't buy it. They haven't mind-fucked you. They haven't put a gun to your head. What do you want? But that's the quick and dirty version of what we're speaking to here. And I think I can summarize it at that. So thanks for listening, guys.